Aside from being Kenya's 50th birthday, 2013 it also marks 5 decades of diplomatic ties between China and Kenya. Bilateral trade volumes between the two sides has grown by 30% annually over the past few years, and this anniversary comes amid criticism from Western countries who accuse China of neo-colonial behavior in Africa. To examine the perceptions of Sino-African diplomatic and commercial ties, CCTV's senior journalist Yang Rui spoke to Kenya's Foreign Affairs Minister Amina Mohamed.
China started our relationship with Africa back in the 8th century. However, our country didn't seriously start engagement with Africa until a few decades ago. And yet, the growing influence of China has been criticized by Western media. And they say this is a practice of neo-colonialism in your country. What do you think of the accusation?
I think that the accusation is misplaced. Like I always say, the global marketplace is quite competitive. It is also quite small. And therefore, I actually do not think that there's any element of exploitation that's involved in the relationship that we have with China. I think it's a relationship of respect, of partnership. I think in many cases, actually Chinese companies win contracts fairly over everybody else in our countries, and they are able to execute these contracts well in the shortest time period, and that's why it has become quite, I think, fashionable and trendy for African governments to allow as many Chinese companies as we have today in Africa.
Yes, indeed, China has successfully established its formidable economic presence in Africa. But we are accused of only extracting natural resources and mineral raw materials instead of, caring for the democracy and the human rights in Africa. Do you think this criticism holds any water? Because China has long insisted that we, invest there without attaching any strings.
Well, look, I do not think that that accusation is fair, because China does have a relationship with all countries. I think its largest trading partner today is not Africa. I think its largest trading partner is the United States. The second largest is the EU. So if there are any elements of accusation, then they should be global. They should not just be directed at one part of the world. Secondly, I think that most of the work that is being done in my country, for instance, right, has nothing to do with extraction of natural resources. It has to do with infrastructure development, right, including hospitals that are being built by Chinese companies, and in some cases, it's actually support that we are receiving from the Chinese government. Now, I would not call that exploitation. I would not even, if you care about my human rights, you'll care about my rights to health, accessible and affordable health services.